Start as on time as possible, so we're going to go ahead and get started.
Call the roll.
Yep, so we're going to go ahead and call the roll.
So Aaron Dennis.
Here.
Denny's.
Yep.
Crystal Dongili.
Here.
Selby Sullivan.
Here.
And Jessica Wilbur.
Here. And Joshua Champion.
Joshua is absent.
Yep. All right, so there's nothing on the consent agenda this morning. We're going to go right into number 3, which is presentations. Grant was our city attorney's office. He is going to go over Florida Sunshine Law, public records, and ethics for us.
Great, good morning. Just by a quick show of hands, I know Aaron's been on a board before here in Florida. Have the three of you served on a board like this before, just for my background?
No.
Yes, but not in the state.
Okay.
In my industry, which is completely,
Okay.
electronics.
All right, so what I'll do is I'll just go over a couple basic things under Florida law that are required. I'll move through them pretty quickly. They are basic. If you have questions, I'm always happy to meet one-on-one, and I'll in a minute to say why it's one-on-one, not with all of you. So first, sunshine law. Basic idea there is all decisions made by the government must be done in the light. So in a public hearing like this and recorded, which is one of the reasons we have the microphones. As you can see, we have 2 members of the public here today, but there can also be folks live streaming, watching at home, or watching this later. So the kind of the way I think about it was when I was a teenager and I told my parents there was a party on a Saturday night, and the immediate reaction was, nope, you're not going. Didn't feel fair, didn't really appreciate that. But if I had had the ability to watch them maybe deliberate and talk about why I should go, shouldn't go, or what my curfew is, I would have felt a lot better about the decision, even if I ultimately couldn't go to the party or had to come home earlier. So if you just think about that as the basic tenet of sunshine and fairness, why we do these things in public, it's so that there's public trust, that people understand there were conversations and your thought process to how you got to those decisions to make a recommendation, not in the back room, money exchanging hands, all the evil things people can think about the government. So that's the kind of guiding principle for it and why we do it. It's part of the state constitution, and at its core, it says that 2 of you cannot meet and discuss something that's likely to become before this board in private. So the only time you should be talking about things that'll come before this board is when you're sitting up here on the dais, again, having that public conversation. So just keep that in mind. You are allowed to talk to people on other boards. So for example, if you know somebody on the building and trade board, you're free to talk to them. And if as you're out in town and you're socializing, you run into each other, feel free to have a conversation about anything other than something that might come before this board. There's 3 basic requirements under the Sunshine Law. Thankfully, we take care of 2 of those for you. First, reasonable notice of the meeting, which we will publish with the agenda that you'll receive in advance of the meeting. Open to the public, as we just discussed. And then finally, there'll be minutes taken that are recorded. And then at the next meeting is when normally on the consent agenda, you'll see those minutes and you'll have an opportunity to review them before you come and say, yes, that's an accurate reflection of the decisions we made. One thing we occasionally see, and I'm sure it won't happen with this board, is somebody trying to use a straw man scenario. So one of you going to an intermediary and saying, I really think I'm going to go this way on this decision, and have that person then go to another board member and relate it. Old game, everybody knows how it works, so just make sure you don't do that. There are penalties, fines, things like that. But I'm sure none of you will do that, so we don't have to go too deep into any of that. Public records is another big part of this. If you receive something from a member of the public saying, I'm concerned or I'm interested in, that's a public record. So any email, any text, social media, any and all of it is a public record if it's discussing something that's going to be coming before this board. The easiest thing to do if you get something like that is just to forward it to the clerk, the city clerk for New Smyrna Beach, and that way you don't have to worry about retaining that information on your device. What can happen is we'll get a public records request, any and all communications regarding topic X, and we know it's on your phone, and so now it's an issue of you have to retain those records. We'd rather not put you in that position, so you can just forward, if you receive something like that, to the clerk. You've fulfilled your obligation, and now you don't have to worry about keeping those texts or emails that you get from somebody. Posting online, our basic guidance is just don't do it. Let the city handle the media side of it, posting, making people aware. But as a board member, you don't want to be seen commenting on something that you haven't yet spoken on that's likely to come to you. There are ethical considerations. Obviously, don't take gifts that are being given to you because you're sitting on this board. No favoritism, misuse of position. You will be voting on certain issues. It's to make a recommendation to the city commission. As a board member, you are required to vote on every issue that comes before you. You can't abstain because I know the person or it makes me uncomfortable because this might be an unpopular decision. You are required to vote. There are certain limited instances in which you are allowed to abstain, but that's if it's going to benefit you economically or there's a direct relative of yours involved. It's a little bit nuanced, so what I recommend is when you get the agenda, take a look at it, and if something just pops at you and you say, wow, that's got the hair on my back of my neck kind of standing up, reach out to our office before the meeting and we can just talk through the particular scenario and give you some guidance. I would say at least 95% of the time it's not going to be a conflict and you'll still be able to vote. And that's all I have. If you want a refresher, as I said at the beginning of this, at any time, we can do it at this meeting like we are now, which is probably less likely to result in a conversation and questions back and forth. But if you have questions you want to meet, I can meet with you individually, and we can have a deeper dive, a longer conversation on any of it. But that's the overview. Any questions for me right now?
No.
And Grant, what are the things that we handed out to them?
So you received the First Amendment Pocket Guidebook from the First Amendment Foundation, as well as a little 2-pager on Florida statutes and the Sunshine Law. So you've got those. And again, reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Cool.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Grant. Appreciate that. Okay, we are at the point of public participation. Would anybody like to come up and say any few words?
The 3-minute, this is, you gonna do that on me? Yep.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Hey, John Joaquin, 4617 South Atlantic Avenue. I think you need to say that. Thank you for your service here. This is an important effort as our city is kind of at a crossroads. So, and you're in great hands with Samantha, widely respected, well-known, well-connected, and a real leader in economic development here in the area. So I'm John Joaquin. I served recently as the chair of the Economic Development Task Force. That was the predecessor organization to what you guys are doing. I was also the chair of the Southeast Volusia Chamber of Commerce Advocacy and Economic Development Committee, and I maintain a presence in economic development here. Previously, before I moved to New Smyrna Beach in 2022, I was extensively involved with economic development and ecosystem building up in the nation's capital. And our task force, probably the same goal as you'll have, is building an economic resilience for our city, diversifying our tax base, bringing high-wage jobs to our residents and citizens, and positioning ourselves for the future. One of the things that came out of that effort of the task force was a initiative called the Florida Space Innovation Center, which is to really position our community as the commercial space industry grows right down the road, and to take advantage of the coming Deering Park development, which is going to bring a lot of people and the opportunity for jobs. So I'll share something about that later with you, and I look forward to working with you as we share the same goals of economic development in our city. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, John. Anybody else for public participation? Okay, public participation is now closed. There's no old business. New business. So we're going to dive right into, I know Selby's on a very short time frame this morning. I did hear from Joshua, he got caught by the train. So he's on his way here, but we'll just bring him in whenever he arrives. So if you look at your book in tab 2, I don't know if anybody had an opportunity to read through the bylaws, so I'm just going to kind of breeze through them so that it's into the record. So the official name of the board shall be the Economic Development Board of the City of New Smyrna Beach, Florida, hereinafter referred to as EDAB. So when you see those, we love our acronyms here in government. The purpose and intent of these bylaws is to set forth a uniform set of procedures whereby the City of New Smyrna Beach Economic Development Advisory Board may regulate the manner in which it elects officers, conducts meetings, and otherwise carries out its functions. The bylaws will serve as a guideline for handling all affairs pertaining to New Smyrna Beach Economic Development Advisory Board. So it talks about the voting membership. There's 5 members. For a quorum, we'll need 3 people, 3 of its members. There are 3-year terms. So for this first, as we're bringing this on, I didn't want everyone to term out at the same time. So I think there's 2 members that have 2-year, and then the other 3 members have 3-year. And then you can always just, when your term limit is up, you would just write me. And if you're interested in coming up again and serving again, you just send me an email and says, I'm interested, please, put my name. They're appointed by the commission, so then it would go to the commissioners for them to reappoint anyone that terms out. That's how that would work. And then it talks about eligibility in number 4 and how vacancies would be handled. And on the next couple pages, it talks about the voting conflicts that we discussed briefly with Grant. And this also kind of goes into a little bit more depth. Election of officers, so we'll have a chair and a vice chair. And then any other presiding officers they would preside over a meeting if the chair and the vice chair were both absent. Board coordinator, that would be me. Professional support, meetings and hearings. So we'll also decide today how often we want to meet. I was thinking to start off, maybe it would be quarterly, but we would have probably a special meeting come up. And we're in the middle of updating our economic development strategic plan. So we may have a special meeting because a consultant wanted to have that go through this board before we bring it to the commission. So we want to kind of get your blessing on it first so that you can make that, lost my train. You would basically make that as an advisory board, you recommend it to the commission for approval. So they want to have you do that. So it could be a special meeting. And it just talks about the powers and duties of the board. So it's pretty short and sweet. If anybody has any questions or changes or anything you don't understand or anything you would like to change on that, please let me know. All right, and if there are no changes, then I would entertain a motion to approve the bylaws.
So moved.
So motion by Aaron, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jessica, all in favor?
Aye.
Any denied? The motion passes unanimously. Okay, great. I was hoping Joshua would be here by now to do the election of officers, but I know that we need to move on for Selby's sake, so we're going to keep moving. So the next point is the election of the chair of the Economic Development Advisory Board. And just to Clarify, the chair shall serve as a presiding officer at all meetings and hearings of the EDAB and appoint any committees from the EDAB membership that are deemed necessary. Number 2, the chair shall be elected by a majority of the voting membership at the annual organizational meeting of the month for April. For 1-year term, the chair shall be eligible for re-election. So do we have any nominations for the chair? Well, maybe before we do that, why don't we go around and everybody can kind of introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about what you do and why you're interested in serving, and maybe that would help kind of break the ice a little bit before we go right into the election. Maybe that would help. Aaron, do you want to start?
Sure. I'm Aaron Denny's. I think I've met you guys.
Can you talk into the microphone?
Yeah.
Thank you.
My name's Aaron Denny's. I think I've met most of you guys before. I work with Berlin and Denny's Insurance. It's my family's insurance agency. We've been in the area for about 40 years, and part of that, I feel a strong connection to our community, to our town, New Smyrna, and that's one of the reasons, I've wanted to serve. I have served, as Grant mentioned, I've served on one other board. I'm on the code compliance board, so I do have a little bit of experience with how the meetings are normally run. But it's still going to be, a little bit of a learning curve doing this, so I'm excited for it. And thank you, Samantha, for the opportunity. I think we're going to have a good time.
Thanks, Aaron. Crystal?
Hi, I'm Crystal D'Angeli. I grew up in Orlando, frequent the beaches here while I was in high school, moved over permanently in '99 as we wanted to raise our kids in a small, quaint town. I opened up a business here in 2003. It's technology. We're a wholesaler for board-level electronic components, so I do help employ some locals for technology. And about 4 years ago, I purchased 501 South Dixie Freeway, which is in the CRA district. It was the old building where Jeff's Antiques used to be. I did a complete refab on it, and now it's called the Bowman Center. And I'm here to stay. I am selling off some of my stuff and freeing up more of my time to allow myself to do things as such.
Great, thanks. Jessica?
My name is Jessica Wilbur. I'm owner and president at TACT Manufacturing Solutions, and we are an aerospace manufacturing organization. We specialize in high-precision CNC machining, so we build thermal panels for satellites, Black Hawk Helicopter 4s, and high-speed antennas. And we are currently based out of Colorado. We will be building up to 66,000 square feet facility here in New Smyrna Beach, 10,000 square feet by the end of the year to start off, employing students from Embry-Riddle and Daytona State College. And that's what I am going to contribute to economic development here. I am from Melbourne, Florida, so I'm a Space Coast kid. And I'm really excited about the future of my business and the future of Volusia County.
I'm Selby Sullivan. I grew up in Winter Park and had a scenery and production company for about 30 years. And we've been here pretty much full-time for about 6 years now, really since COVID. And having grown up here and seeing the change, I've just been amazed at how the little sleepy town is a popular destination, and every time we meet somebody we ask, why did you come here? One of Fred's campaign meetings, he was talking about how the city center was going to be at 4495, and it just kind of blew my mind from the little sleepy town. And ever since then, I haven't been able to stop thinking about the economic growth that was going to happen here. It's just interested me, and I wanted to be a part of it.
I think, welcome all of you. I'm so thrilled to have the opportunity to work with you. My name is Samantha Bergeron. I'm the Economic Development CRA Director for the city. I've had a long time background. My first real job right out of college was at the Chamber of Commerce, and I was hooked with economic development ever since. I did go work for, hey, there's Joshua, hey. Come on in, you're right up here. I worked for a large manufacturing company called KHS. They're a global multinational company based out of Germany that builds packaging machinery for the food and beverage industry. So I worked for them for about 8 years, and then when I came back to town, I came back to the Chamber of Commerce. more economic development, and then I did 10 years in the city of Edgewater, and then college stole me away to New Smyrna Beach, and I'm thrilled to be back home, basically. Never really left here, but I grew up here. I've been here since 1977, so this is my dream, and I love it. So we're going to welcome Joshua Champions with Advent Health. And Joshua, we're kind of at the point where we're ready to talk about election of officer for the chair, and so we're just kind of going around the dais and introducing ourselves. So you're up. You can introduce yourself to the group.
Thank you, thank you. My apologies for being late here. I was supposed to be here 15 minutes early, but had a little bit of a train situation and couldn't figure out how to get out of the line and then around the train. But finally made it, so thank you for bearing with me here. My name is Joshua Champion. I am the Chief Operating Officer for Advent Health New Smyrna Beach, and have had an opportunity to work with Advent Health for the last 16 years. The last year, actually, at New Smyrna. I started my career with Advent Health in human resources at our corporate offices in the Altamont Springs area. Then I became a director of human resources at Advent Health Palm Coast, there in Palm Coast, through one of our systems, one of our hospitals in Texas as well, as executive director of HR there. Also in one of our facilities in Lake County, Advent Health Waterman. And ultimately, last role that I had was Vice President of Ancillary Services at the Daytona Beach campus before coming to New Smyrna. So I always wanted to be a hospital CEO. So my journey in human resources over about a 10-year span was a great journey, but moving to operations was really where I wanted to be. So that's what I've done for the last couple of years, and really appreciate the opportunity to serve in this way at Advent Health New Smyrna. Our hospital loves this community, and I believe the community loves our hospital. So it's something that I'm very proud to be part of. So happy to be here with you all today.
Great. Thank you very much. Welcome all again. So go back to election of officers. We need to elect a chair. Do we have any nominations for chair? You are allowed to nominate yourself, by the way, if you'd like to be the chair. Any nominations?
I can nominate Selby to be our surprise, to be our chair. If he wants to, that is.
I would do it,
Okay.
but I'm open to other nominations.
Any other nominations? All right. Do we have a second for Selby for chair for the Economic Development Advisory Board? Do we need a second?
I second.
Okay. Was Crystal seconded? All right. All in favor? Selby Sullivan for chair.
Aye.
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 All right. Great. Any opposed? Seeing none. Welcome, Selby. So next time when we set you up, you'll be in the center of the dais, and we'll get everyone official name tags and so forth. Okay, so now we have next on the agenda the vice chair. So just the role. The vice chair shall be elected by the EDAB from among its regular members in the same manner as the chair shall be eligible for re-election. The vice chair shall serve as acting chair in the absence of the chair, and at such times shall have the same powers and duties of the chair. In the event of death, resignation, or removal from office of the chair, the vice chair shall perform the various duties until such time the EDAB shall elect a new chair and vice chair. Okay, with that being said, do we have any nominations for vice chair?
I'll nominate myself.
Right, Jessica, vice chair. Any other nominations?
Second.
Second. Any other nominations? All right, all in favor of Jessica as vice chair?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Great. Jessica, welcome. So thank you very much for offering to stand. Okay. Any board member comments? And like I said, this meeting is going to be pretty short, but most of our meetings is we have, and you all can provide me with business or ideas or things that you want to talk to as well that we can put on the agenda. So that's definitely welcome. But do you have any other comments for the meeting and the agenda? Okay. Seeing none, so we'll go into the director's report under reports and communications. In your book and attached to this agenda, And section number 3, tab number 3 is a Bryce report. Now granted, was done in 2019, but if you read through it, it is still very relevant. And just as a testimonial, basically, that Jessica bringing her business here from Colorado are the types of businesses that this plan are talking about. And if you also noticed on the Chamber of Commerce, on their newsletter that came out yesterday, Insurtech is also another type of business that this report speaks directly to, of that, third and fourth tier of suppliers. So we have about 50 businesses throughout the county right now that supply goods and services to the Space Commerce Park down at Kennedy Space Center. And this is what we're talking about. And as you get into some of the other plans and you go into tab 4, which is the Southeast Volusia. It's our regional strategic plan. It looks like this. This was developed and approved back 2022. And again, this is another plan that we are actively working. And if you will please put on, I sent this out yesterday for the Southeast Volusia Regional Economic Development Summit. We're actually talking about some of the goals and the objectives and action items that are in the Southeast Volusia plan, and they tie into not only the city's plan but also the Bryce report and how we're working that. And some of the biggest challenges that we're finding is that as we are attracting these kinds of businesses, infrastructure is our biggest challenge. There's pockets of our cities, in all 3 of our cities, where we don't have enough or the right kind of infrastructure: water, sewer, enough power, high-speed internet, and those kinds of infrastructure, roadways that we need to be able to then land and keep those companies. So that is some of the things that are in this plan and that we're talking about. So if you, as we get into planning the summit that will come up in August, you're going to hear kind of the update on where we are and some of the work that we did last year. We held the summit in October. And we talked about Mission Road being a feeder road north and south because it runs parallel with US 1 and 95. But we've got 1 million square feet going up in Edgewater right there off of Park Avenue. And they are very specifically targeting space-related companies that, like Honeywell and those kinds of large companies that serve Kennedy Space Center. And so that's a big thoroughfare. We've got the schools, and it's a very narrow road. It's needed, it really needs to be widened. But with that, there's also the infrastructure of the stormwater, and where does all the stormwater go? So we've got some plans and things we're working on. We're working with the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council, and they're working on writing us a grant. It's the 3 cities and Volusia County working together to do a study, because you need a study in order to get a grant. Through the federal government to actually look at that and how best to widen it, and then where would all the stormwater and all the other infrastructure for water, sewer, and power and all of that, so that we're thinking ahead and really planning these out rather than as they happen to come up and then we're waiting too long. Because just like Jessica, she needs to be up and running. Most of their time frame is 6 months. Is really their time frame. They've got contracts with SpaceX or Blue Origins or Northrop Grumman or whomever, and their time frame is so short. And if we don't have the infrastructure, they can't wait and they move on. And that's what we don't want to happen, because we know that's what's been happening the last 10 years. So those are all very relevant, and we'll be referring to those a lot. So I went ahead and put them in the back of your books. If you'd like to take your books, you're more than welcome. You can take them and kind of look at those. And the regional plan, if you go back, kind of the meat of it is meat and potatoes, really starts on page 22, if you just kind of want to skip back to that. And it talks a lot about regional infrastructure, talking about a plan that takes the inventory of what we have and what we're missing, and then kind of the different steps with the strategies of collaboration. And it's a big heavy lift really for our cities and county to be working together to do that. And talks about re-envisioning corridors. So that's something that you're going to see from the city of New Smyrna Beach as we are looking at the corridors, not only from the west So you've got 44, and then you'll have Pioneer Trail coming online here pretty soon. And then you've got the corridors, of course, the 2 causeways going over to the beach side. So you're looking at reimagining those corridors and what they look like and what we're trying to attract, and the different architectural design standards and some things like that to make it more welcoming, so that you feel when you come into New Smyrna Beach that you've arrived. And what does that look like? And kind of slowing the traffic down so it's actually doing the speed limit, more walkable space, more shaded walkable space, and just making it more friendly and more inviting, more clean. Different kinds of plantings we'll be looking at. And these are all strategies and plans that are in these plans. So even though they have a little bit of age on them, they're still very relevant, and we're still working those plans and kind of tweaking them every year. So that'll be exciting stuff that we'll be working on. The other thing I'd like to talk to you guys too is to find out how often do we want to meet. Starting off, I was thinking quarterly, but if you would like to meet more than that, we certainly can. I know that for the city plan that was also approved in 2020, so every 5 years we're working on updating our plan. We have a consultant that we're working with, Kimley Horn, and we're at a point where we have a draft, and we want this board to review the draft and give feedback, so that it's fine-tuned before we recommend approval to the commission. So even if we met quarterly, that might be a special meeting that I could coordinate with you all and the consultant, that they would come in and do a whole presentation to you, so you'd have a lot of input on how that plan, what it looks like, how it feels, how it reads, really be able to put your thumbprint on it. So any comments, feedback of how often you would like to meet? Does quarterly work? And then I'll just coordinate with you. Okay, do we want to look at our calendars? I know, Jessica, everybody's traveling and has kind of crazy schedules, so if you want to look at your calendars.
I'm okay with quarterly, and then if there's ever anything that would require a special meeting, that's also fine.
Okay.
Let's meet ad hoc.
Okay. So the next meeting would be July.
Didn't you mention that you were wanting a special meeting sometime in the near future?
I just don't have a date yet. I'll have to get with a consultant.
So the next regular meeting would be in July.
Yeah, so our next regular meeting would be in July. Does the 3rd Tuesday of the month work?
Third Tuesday, so it's the
Not for me.
21st.
Pardon?
Not for me.
Not for you. Okay, no
I'll be
worries.
out for 3 weeks in July traveling.
Okay.
So mine would be closer to the beginning or the end of July.
Beginning or end of July? How about the end of July? The 28th is the last, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a Tuesday.
That's fine with me. Does that
Yeah.
work for
That
you?
works.
I think that could be
So the
fine.
28th, 8:30 still work? Okay.
Yeah.
So next meeting will be July 28th at 8:30. And then I will get with Kimley Horn and I'll find out, maybe if you could send me days that absolutely just don't work for you for the special meeting. And do we want to do the special meeting in the morning during the day, or afternoon, or what works better for everybody?
Mornings are always great.
Mornings are always good. Okay.
Morning's fine.
Okay. So I'll get some dates together from them of when they are available, and we'll go from there, and I'll send those dates to you, and you can just send me which ones work for you best. So that was really all I had. It was just an organizational meeting today, just to kind of get us going and get us started, kind of an overview. Yes, sir, you had a question?
Yeah, where are most of our agenda items going to originate from? Is it from the public? Is it stuff that's come up? Do we bring agenda items?
So agenda items come from kind of what I'm up to, basically, what's going on. If we have some timely, like for example, right now we've got Sprouts, the proposed Sprouts site there at 44 in Myrtle. That's kind of my big project. I've been working with them for over 13 months on this project. So they're coming up for their plan unit development agreement on May 12th. So that'll be interesting to watch that. I hope that gets approved. and projects like that. So there's a lot of things that I'll bring to you, but if you all have agenda items that you want to see on the agenda, I just need them at least 10 days in advance of our meeting. Of anything you want to talk about, anything that is going on. There's a lot going on in our community. Both of our Flagler Avenue Business Association and our Canal Street Historic District Business Association have new leadership. And so we're kind of seeing some reorganization and restructuring and some exciting things. I just finished working with Frank over at FABA, a welcome kit that will have information about FABA, about what they do, but also about the city, like zoning, and make sure that before you buy or rent a property, make sure that it's zoned properly for what the use is, your parking, and all those considerations, and who to contact at the city. So I'd love to duplicate something like that for Canal Street, and then maybe another one for 44, and another one for US 1, just to kind of help businesses. So it's really about reach out and about, our job is business retention and expansion, and of course recruitment comes along with that as well. That's kind of my main marching orders, so to speak, but there's a lot in between that comes with that.
Are there any events or trade events or career fairs or anything like that that would be beneficial for us to attend, or that you guys already have in place that
Yes.
you share with us? Okay.
Yep. So we just had our career fair the three cities 10 years ago created a partnership called the Southeast Volusia Manufacturing and Technology Coalition, and it's strictly run on volunteer power. The three cities obviously sit at the table. And then we have a lot of business memberships, and we do workforce development, and we just did a job fair at the beginning of April, beginning of the month. We also do some other workforce development where we get businesses in front of the schools. We just did a construction table, like a brain drain this
Fireside
morning.
chat or
Yes,
something.
kind of thing. But we'll get different businesses into the schools and kind of get in front of students. So SCBMTC kind of fills that gap, but we work with all of our other partners too. So we've got SCORE, Team Volusia, Volusia County Economic Development Department, of course our Chamber of Commerce, Small Business Development Center, Career Source. We work with everybody. So there are upcoming events. Trade shows, not so much unless they're here local in Orlando. Through Team Volusia. So Team Volusia went to SpaceCom in January, so we get free tickets into that. And then sometimes the MRO show is also here in Orlando, and so if they're there, they'll get us in. So yeah, there's great opportunities like that. But pretty much Team Volusia is our marketing arm for the city. We have a partnership with them, an agreement, and a contractual kind of relationship. So they are our marketing recruiting arm, and then when they get a lead, they bring it to us, and I've tried to put whatever property or whatever meets that criteria back to them so they can get it in front of. So I'm working with 3 or 4 of them right now that are still kind of looking and kicking tires, if you will. So
Cool.
Yep. Any other questions, comments, anything I can help clarify? No.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do we have to take a motion on the fact that we're going to do the quarterly meetings?
Probably wouldn't hurt to make a motion that we'll meet quarterly.
I so move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Everyone in favor of meeting quarterly, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you, Patsy, for catching that. All right, that was all I had for you. It was just a quick organizational meeting today, and then if you have agenda items and things come up, please let me know. You can always contact me. Make sure you've got all my contact information. If you can't get a hold of me for some reason, Patsy's always available as well. So, all right. Well, on that note, we are adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for putting this together.